Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Monday Night Live with Greg and Neil. Welcome back. I'm joined, as always, by Greg Wintrigg, CEO of Matterhorn Business Development. How's it going, Greg?
I'm good. How are you, Neil?
Pretty good. So you've got something that you want to talk about tonight. Before we get into that, it is the offensive. What do we call this? The offense and defense.
I call it offense versus defense, like in the financial business arena. I don't know that anybody's going to read the title and know what I'm talking about because this is something that my brother and I kind of made up. But I think it really helps you figure out your business versus your investments, and where does retirement fit in to your business plan or your life plan. And this concept really helped me get some clarity on, I just turned 65. I'm supposed to be freaked out about retirement. And I could honestly give a rip, but
and instead of being freaked out by retirement, you're winning races on Gran Turismo on the PlayStation. So that tells you how worried about retirement you are.
How concerned I am about it. Yes.
Yeah. Well, before we get started officially, just want to thank all of the members of our YouTube channel. We had our first live training last Thursday. So thank you to everybody who has signed up for that and tuned in for that. Chris is in the chat. She says, hello, hello, hello.
Hey, Chris.
Hello, Chris. And so also, if you have any other questions about working with us, all you have to do is go to adventuretoprofit.com. That is our website where you can apply. You give us a little bit of information about yourself, where you want to go in business. We reach out to you. We figure out if we can help you. What the best way to do that is through our Adventure to Profit program. So if you need some business advice, go there and we'll be able to help you out. And please give a thumbs up on the stream if you're watching live. And if you are watching later, give us a thumbs up. Leave your comments down below. Tell us how dumb you think we are. We always get a chuckle out of those. I haven't made a video about AB5 or the PRO Act in a month or so, so I haven't had any stupid comments in a little bit. So I'm feeling deflated right now. I need some dumb comments, something like that.
To motivate you.
Yeah. So let's get into this. You said the offense versus defense of finances.
Right.
And business strategies. And you said that you and your brother came up with this, and he's a financial advisor.
Right. So my brother, John, has been a financial planner for decades. He has his own practice south of Indianapolis. And John is all about investments and saving money so that you can retire in comfort, and very bright and wise strategies on how to invest your money without losing your money, but still being able to live off of it. And just a real short story on this. It's been probably 10 years ago now, maybe longer. I said to my brother, so if I give you $1 million and I don't want to risk my investment, what can you comfortably get me in return? And he said 3 to 5%. And I'm thinking it's going to be at least 15% on the conservative side. So I give him $1 million. I can live on 150,000 and have a decent life. But I'm like, dude, I give you $1 million and I may not get more than 30,000. He goes, well, if you don't want to risk it. And I'm like, okay, well then that's a lot of millions to have. So I was like, you know how hard it is to save $1 million? This conversation went on for several months. And one day we're sitting down, and I don't know who came up with the idea first, but my specialty is in building businesses that create income. And then his specialty is taking wealthy people who have made money and helping them hang on to it once the business is gone. And so he has created relationships with estate planners and attorneys and accountants, and that's where his leads come from, and that's his bulk of his client base is wealthy individuals. And he said, you know, I've never really met anybody who could predictably help somebody grow their business and extract themselves from it. And so I said to him, well, if I have a company that is running without me, that is giving me $10,000 a month or $120,000 a year, and all you can guarantee me, quote unquote, is $30,000 a year, then I'm going to hang on to my company and keep $10,000 a month, and that's $4 million that I don't have to save.
Right.
And so that's where one of us said, well, Greg, your offense, and John, the wealth manager, is defense. And so I created this presentation that I did, let's see, it'd be a week ago now, to an investment group of real estate investors, and they got very excited about it. And so I just want to take the first 20 minutes of that presentation and share it tonight. And then I have some comments. I'd like to get Neil's feedback because, I mean, here you are, Neil, you're 30, what, 4?
Yeah.
So here you are, you know, you got 30 years to retirement. You know, what's the millennial viewpoint on this? And I know that, you know, I just turned 65. So, you know, I know people who have other viewpoints about it. But I want to share my offense versus defense strategy here, and then we can have a chat like we
Okay, good.
Always like to do.
I think I've read that millennials are all about saving money for the future. Like they're really getting in early on investing and stuff. That totally skipped me.
Okay.
I have your mentality, which is I'm going to work, I'm going to make money, I'm going to have businesses, I'm going to have projects that I run. So that's more my mentality. So you've got a PowerPoint ready to go. So I am going to add that to the stream. And I know you said that when you've got your PowerPoint up, you can't see yourself, but you're on screen and your screen is being shared.
So just because I can't see me doesn't mean it's okay to pick my nose during the presentation, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thanks for that heads up.
Yes.
So this is a beautiful picture of the Matterhorn in Zermatt, Switzerland. And I always love to show this picture because it was taken with my iPad off the balcony of my hotel room. And I was told, we were there for 2 days, and I was told we were really lucky because there's people who go there for 2 days and don't get to see the mountain because it's all locked in clouds. But at any rate, just as a point of history, this was January of 2017, and I'm there looking at this beautiful structure, this beautiful mountain, and I went to Wikipedia, just what does Matterhorn mean? And Matterhorn means mountain of mountains. And I found out that 462 people have died trying to scale the Matterhorn. And I'm standing there, I'm like, wow, that's really amazing. I'm going to start a company. I'm going to call it Matterhorn. I don't know what it's going to do, but it's going to help people avoid trouble in whatever I decide. And so about 6 months later, maybe a little longer, I coined Matterhorn Business Development, and the idea was spawned in a family meeting, and the rest is history. So anyway, I just love showing that that photograph as a point of history here on the evolution of Matterhorn Business Development. So we start talking about retirement, and I'm going to keep this brief. I try not to tell too many stories, but I was 27 years old. I had just opened my dental practice, and the local Edward Jones broker approaches me and takes me to lunch at the local Pizza Hut and says, I need to start saving for retirement. And I thought he was joking. I didn't know him. And I thought he was just kind of making a funny joke. And I'm like, yeah, I'm 27 years old, you know, and he's like, no, I'm serious. You really need to start, you know? And so anyhow, he went into this whole idea of retirement, which I thought was kind of silly to begin with. And then he met with Sandra and I and wanted to know, his first question was, how much money do you want to have to live on at retirement? I'm like, dude, that's 40 years from now. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I need a number. Otherwise the formula doesn't work. So at any rate, I played this game and I thought it was kind of lame, but I gave him $4,000 to put into an IRA for us. And that was my retirement account. But, you know, you can take a look at retirement. Retirement is freedom, the freedom to travel. You don't have any money worries. You have more time with your family. So people can get into this idea of what retirement is. But honestly, retirement actually is 15 to 20 plus years of unemployment. So you retire at age 65 from what you've been doing to make a living, and now you're unemployed. And personally, I thought that was kind of freaky. So today you have the cost of, I don't know, you have the cost of gasoline at $3 a gallon, and the average male now is living to age 80 or 85. What's the cost of gasoline going to be like in 20 years? I don't know. $4, $5? What's the cost of your rent? What's the cost of a hamburger? So inflation is going to carry on, and you have no way to generate an income because you've retired. So the truth of it is you must have a continuous source of income. Wealthy people have multiple sources of income. So wealthy people have ways of having money come in. Now, that can be from real estate. It can be from investment accounts, business number one, business number two. But wealthy people have multiple streams of income. Wealthy people generally own at least one business. The wealthiest people have other people doing the work plus other investments. So the wealthiest people have a money machine. If you own your own business, it increases your chances of becoming wealthy. Now, here at Matterhorn, our job is to help you make that business your money machine so that the business grows, you are more profitable using Profit First, the Profit First cash management system, and using the Matterhorn business development system of expanding the business so it doesn't need you to grow. So the biggest variable here is, what do you do with your money as you make it? And this is the key. What do you do with your money as you make it? So that's where you now have to stand back and take a look. So yes, we want to help you generate a profit. So this quarter you ended up with $10,000. What are you going to do with that $10,000? So we have to go to Business Basics 101. This is on the YouTube channel. And I'm assuming that there may be people here who haven't watched my Fun at Work playlist on the YouTube channel. So I'm just going to get into what I call Business Basics 101. Is you have to be able to sell the product or service, deliver the product or service, and get new customers to sell and deliver to. And the getting of the new customers is the marketing. This is your whatever promotion you've got going on, your social media, your ClickFunnels, whatever it might be. And then management holds this entire machine together. So I call these the 4 pillars of Business Basics: marketing, selling, delivering what was sold, and then managing to expand and scale the business. And so this is what we're all about here at Matterhorn. So most owners are going to focus heavily on delivering a quality product or service and marketing. I need more leads. I need more leads. I need more leads. And that's what we hear all the time. Now, the most successful owners focus on sales and management. And I'm not saying that you don't need to deliver a quality product. Obviously, I'm not saying that you don't need to market. But how many times have we seen it, Neil, where the sales force can't sell, and all they're doing is complaining that the marketing department isn't giving us enough leads? So management's job is to make sure that marketing is bringing in the leads, the sales are happening, quality delivery is happening, and management's job is to make sure that the business is expanding. So let's take a look at this machine now. We must have cash management. And again, now we're getting into the Profit First concept, but it's not just business management. The whole idea is for the business to make a profit. If your business is not making a profit, then all you have is a different employer. You don't really have a business. You just have a different employer because your business is now employing you, not your old boss. So you need to make profit from the business. That's your job as the business owner. And then you can start to set aside some money for retirement. But without profit, there is no 401k, there is no IRA, there is no real estate development. the business has to make a profit. So without cash management, you have no profit, and then there will be no retirement. So we have this formula here where your business must generate a profit, and it's going to take cash management to generate that profit. The business creates the profit, but then the cash management is going to generate it by deciding what are we buying, what are we not buying, holding the reins tight on cash expenditures, and not overspending on employees or marketing or your leasing facility or leasing equipment or whatever. So you must manage the cash to end up with money. And then it's wealth management that you give to some sort of a financial planner, financial advisor. I have some friends who do their own investing online with their stocks and bonds, whatever that might be. It's how are you going to manage that profit? So in my book now, I look at generating profit from the business as offense, and wealth management, hanging on to what you've generated, as defense. And to me, the athletic analogy really fits here perfectly. So if you have a good football team and they expect to win the Super Bowl, they have to have pretty much a top 10 offense and at least a top 15 defense. And I don't remember what Tampa just won the Super Bowl. I don't remember what their defense was rated. I believe it was in the top 15. I remember when Green Bay won the Super Bowl 10 years ago or whatever it was, they had like a top 5 offense and a top 10 defense. And if you're going to try and win the Super Bowl with only offense, you're probably not going to win if your defense is poor. And if you're going to try and win the Super Bowl with only defense, the last team I knew to do that was the Baltimore Ravens. And I don't even remember who their quarterback was. Their offense would score 10 points and they would win 10-7. So that's hard. So the point is that you need both offense to generate money and defense to hang on to the money so that you don't lose it. Now, really, the bottom line when we're talking about retirement is control of your life. And I can go back to the first slide where I talk about freedom. You know, you have no debt, you have no bills, you have time, free time to come and go as you please. You can take the vacations that you want, when you want, go where you want. But sadly enough, what I've seen is some people will reach retirement and they have the money and they have the time, but now their body can't do it. And maybe they don't have the health. Maybe they don't have the youth to go climb the Matterhorn or Mount Kilimanjaro or travel the way they want to because they're tied to a doctor's office or whatever it might be. So for me, the idea is to have control of your life and then retire at any age. So I had that conversation with the broker. I was 27 years old. And over the span of basically the next 11 years, I was able to build my practice to the point where that was the offense. I had an office manager who was trained to run it, whether I was there or not. Had an associate who could run the business, whether I was there or not. With the dentistry, the office manager ran the business. The associate did the delivery. The associate became my partner. And by the age of 38, I was semi-retired. We would take 2 weeks of vacation at a time. The business was open. It was making a profit while I was not there. So basically, I was semi-retired at age 38. And I really have had control of my life since then. So it's not really a requirement of age when you retire. It's a requirement of how good is your offense combined with how good is your defense. And quite honestly, at age 38, I didn't have any defense. I had no investment that was generating any wealth or generating any income. So I could take a 2-week vacation. At that point in my life, I was 100% offense. The business is running, whether I was there or not. And I had some money that I had put into an investment account and some other stuff, but it really didn't matter to me. I didn't care. So control of your life, for me is better than retirement, because that's really what we're talking about. So how do you become better on offense immediately? And you have to change the way you manage your cash. And that's where the profit first system comes into play. And so the profit first system, I'm not going to get into this. This isn't about that. But I've covered, I want to back up for a slide. This is really what I want to talk about tonight. Your business generates offense, which is generating the money. And your wealth manager, whoever that is, whether it's, a professional or you're doing it on your own, that's your defense. And so for me now, it really comes down to what are you comfortable with? That's really what it boils down to, is what are you comfortable with regards to offense and defense? And for me, pretty much, I've always been an offense kind of guy. And I'm going to tell a short story here, Neil, and then you can jump in. So I gave the broker when I was 27. So this would have been 1982. The stock market was down at that point. Inflation was kind of high. Interest rates were through the roof. As far as cost of borrowing money, the cost of buying a home. So in 3 years, I gave the broker $12,000, $4,000 a year for 3 years to go into the IRA. And I remember sitting at the desk in my office, and it was the old dot matrix paper with the white band and the green band that spun out of the computer, out of the printer. Neil wasn't born yet at that time. You maybe have never seen that paper.
I think I saw that on the Antique Roadshow.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm looking at this, and I've given this guy $12,000. He's had it for 3 years. And based on what the market had done and his fees, I now had $11,600 of the $12,000 that I had given him. So I called him up, and I'm like, hey, Dan, Greg here. Could you explain to me how this works? And I'm sure that I wasn't the only phone call that he was getting like that around 1984 or 85. It's like, oh, Greg, you got time on your side. You got time on your side. The market does this. It cycles, over the last 100 years, blah, 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 blah. And I hung up, and I'm sorry. So what if I'm not at this time 30 years old? What if at this time I'm 70 years old and the market has just made a correction? And I'm counting on this money to be there for me. And basically, it's not. If I have sold my business and I'm 70 years old, I have no offense. And then I'm 100% dependent on what happens with the market, what happens with real estate, the price of gold, the price of silver, the price of oil. I don't care what commodity you're talking about. It cycles up and down. So if you are 100% dependent for your security on that, and Social Security, by the way, my mom is 89 years old and she gets $954 a month Social Security. And I can tell you that $700 of that goes to her Medicare supplement insurance. That ain't much of a life. So my brother and my dad were very smart about my mom's defense, and she has a property, and that property spends $3,000 a month off for her and some other investments that my brother was very smart about, because my mom can no longer work. My mom doesn't own a business. My mom is dependent on defense. And so she has a pretty good defense strategy. So it is possible. But for me, I'm just more comfortable having control of my destiny. And for me, I control my destiny with my offense. We've talked about this before. During the pandemic, Matterhorn tripled. And I remember the Zoom chat that Neil and Abby and I had, from our respective homes during the shutdown, because we couldn't see each other. And we're like, hey, guys, so what are we going to do? And we came up with a strategy, and we implemented it. And it worked. And that's offense. So for me, I am most comfortable with whatever money I have, chunking it into offense, so that let's go back to the $1 million. So I have $1 million, and if I give it to my brother, I get 30 to 50,000 a year. Or I have $1 million that I can invest in a business or put into an existing business and figure out how to get a 10 to 20% margin back on that. Well, then on my $1 million, I'm going to get 100 to 200,000 a year, and I can make changes in the business. I can market, I can sell, I can deliver, I can organize, I can manage. And so for me, I'm just more comfortable taking my money and dumping it into offense rather than giving up control of my money and putting it into defense and then sitting back and going like this and rubbing my lucky rabbit's foot and, watching the stock market go up and down. I don't know. It's just not something that I'm comfortable with. Now, not everyone is so excited about being an entrepreneur as I am. Not everybody wants to be engaged in growing a business and having staff and having risk and responsibility. But for me, that's the exchange and the dynamic part of owning a business so that I can control it and have some control over my destiny. So that's my rant. That's my rant on offense versus defense.
I don't think that was a rant. I think that made a lot of sense. I think that was perfect. I think what you're saying is that if you're really, really good on offense, your defense is a lot easier because you have a generating machine, an income generating machine that is supporting your defense and making your defense work and, all that kind of stuff. I think people get into trouble in the stock market and things like that when their value gets cut in half and they don't have a way of replacing that half.
Yeah,
that's where the anxiety and all that stuff comes in with the stock markets and things of that nature. Is that if your business is gone and you've invested everything into stocks and all these other things, and then it disappears, you don't have any way of saying, well, I got to go out and make some more money to make up for that. Which is why your idea about continually having a business that's generating profit for you continues to bolster your defense at the same time. And I think that makes perfect sense.
Well, this reminds me, leading up to the millennium, 98, 99, tech was like going crazy. Mm-hmm. And, there was this whole thing about, is there going to be a melting down when the computers all turned to 2000 and all kinds of craziness about the new millennium that was starting. And it's 2002. I remember this very clearly. At the management company, I have an orthodontist coming in to do the new patient course. And he has a blazer on. He has a turtleneck on. He's dressed very nicely. He's got a Rolex watch. And he's an orthodontist from a large metropolitan area in the United States. And he's here doing the patient course. I'm like, doctor, so I'm just curious, you're here to do the new patient course. Do you have an associate who's coming on? Is that why you need to get more new patients? He says, well, no, actually, I'm starting a scratch practice. And I'm like, how old are you? He said 67. So he tells me the sad story that he had $500,000 or $600,000. His daughter married an investor, and in the late 90s, he turned that $500,000 or $600,000 into $3 million. And he sold his practice. They did a $250,000 remodel on his house, and life is good. His daughter got married to this investor, and then the tech bubble burst, and his $3 million went back to $600,000 literally overnight. And so now I have a 67-year-old orthodontist who has been successful in his life sitting in front of me, getting ready to start scratch practice because that's all he knows.
Yeah.
And that was very, very sad, because in dentistry, orthodontists and all the specialists rely on referrals. And so Neil is a young millennial dentist, and I'm trying to make a comeback here with all this white hair. And now I'm going to go out. Why is Neil going to refer his orthodontic patients to me, knowing that I'm going to retire in the next few years and an orthodontic case takes a year or two, why wouldn't Neil just refer to his fellow millennials? This guy, here's the bottom line, he was screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Because he sold his practice. He never went to work. He never put in the effort to bring an associate on, build a machine, create an organization so that his wealth could be generated during his entire life. Now let's compare him to a pediatric dentist that I know who had a $3 million practice. He had 3 associates. I don't know. He quit seeing children at probably the age of 65 or 68. When I saw him, he was approaching 80. He was very frail. He was walking with a cane, and that $3 million business was still generating for him $400,000 a year because he put the machine together. I don't know when the last time was he called on a referring doctor to get him a patient. I don't know when the last time was he saw a pediatric patient. He had it all arranged so that his estate then would sell the practice to the dentists who were there, who he was compensating very nicely. So there's a huge difference here in just these 2 stories. One put in the time, the energy, and the effort to scale the business so it did not need him. And the other just went crazy on defense, was riding this wave. And then, when the wave crashed against the shore, he had surrendered his ability to generate offense.
And I just want to throw a disclaimer out there, because sometimes people get mad at what you're saying. We're not slandering or going against financial advisors at all. We're just saying your brother's a financial advisor. Yeah. But you have to have both aspects of it. And that's what we're really saying. I remember we had a financial advisor read the first chapter of your book, and they almost didn't continue reading because it was like talking about how you didn't need a financial advisor. And you're like, no, that's not what we're saying. That's just the first part. You just got to keep reading. They're like, oh, okay, I get it now.
So, and your point is well taken. And so let's just take a look. So you have offense and you have defense. What are you comfortable with? Because to generate the offense, you have to stay engaged.
Well, I'm only comfortable with things in which I can control. So I'm not comfortable. I'm not comfortable with a financial situation that I may or may not win in. This goes back to what you said about making tough decisions. Is what are you comfortable with?
Your risk tolerance.
Your risk tolerance. So if I had $1 million and I thought, well, I could give $1 million to these people for an investment, and what if I lost everything? Or what if that 1 million became 500? What would I do with the other 500? And if I went, F it, I'd just make another 500 and have my million again, then fine, I'd give $1 million away. But if I was like, I'm not willing to waste $1 million. So what if I get 300,000 and I put that into a stock market, a thing or whatever, but I take this other 700 and start a new business and start a new project or whatever. And same thing with starting a new business. How much am I willing to lose? See, I'm willing to bet 700,000 on myself because I'm in control that I can make this work. But when I'm like, well, I'm going to give you 300, but I might never see it again, I'm not in control over that per se. So that's the risk tolerance aspect of it.
Right. And, there was, we launched the book, what was it, 2 years ago now? I think it was April of 19, wasn't it, when we launched the book?
I think so. Something like that.
Something like that. And soon thereafter, someone had read the book. And in the book, I talk about the guy who's really good at hunting, and he figures out a way to turn that into a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so the person who is reading the book is really good and really enjoys fishing. And he's like, I started to think, well, what could I do with fishing? Now, his defense was really good, pretty well set for defense, right? And he's like, I started thinking about that. And they're like, no. I don't want to be responsible to anybody. Because once you start a business, You take their money. Now you're responsible to get them out on that fishing trip. You're responsible to make sure that they catch the fish.
Right.
You don't
Right.
catch any fish. They're going to want their money back. And it's like, nah, I really don't. So risk tolerance there, or being willing to be engaged in offense for this particular person is zero. And I'm fine on that. I don't care. But, you know, Neil and I and our, you know, Winter Egg family, our Winter Egg clan is pretty much into offense. You know,
our defense is the fact that our offense is that strong to support the defense, so to speak, right?
Right.
It's not like what you were saying where, okay, to win the Super Bowl, you have to have a really good offense and a really good defense. I understand that. But what funds or fuels my defense is my offense in a cash-related perspective, right? Because I trust myself. I trust what I can control. I know that I can sell. I know that I can. I mean, last year I learned a whole new industry that I had nothing to do with ever before, and started a business and started making money just because I knew that it was something I could learn and duplicate and understand and sell. So I could do that at any point in time with any industry if I wanted to.
Yeah, any industry that you liked, that you thought was an ethical product or service that people needed. So that's a ton of confidence there. And you know, I even joke and say that I'm on my third career. I mean, I graduated from dental school and then sold that, became a partner in a practice management company, semi-retired from that 5 years ago. I've got Matterhorn Business Development. There's another venture that Neil and I are partners in. I started a nonprofit, and I have other ventures that I'm engaged in and involved in every day. And for me, that's fun. Now, for some people, that just doesn't sound like fun.
That sounds like work.
That sounds like work.
Yeah.
But I have fun at work. And so I think my work is more fun than golfing and fishing, which is other people's play. So that's me. And I'm completely fine if they don't want to have any offense and be completely dependent on their defense. And that's how they've structured their life and what they've, you know, what they strive to do. But I don't know. For me, I just start getting a little nervous, you know, when the stock market is going like this and gold is going like this. And right now, real estate is going like this.
Oh, man.
You know, it's like,
yeah, I should have bought something like 5 years ago.
But, you know, at any rate, I want to emphasize it's a matter of tolerance. Tolerance for the responsibility that you have in generating the offense. And then your tolerance, if you're going to be reliant 100% on defense, your tolerance for having that part of your life out of your control.
Yep, exactly.
So this is the offense defense part of this that everybody pretty much has to size up for themselves. But and I know we're getting, you know, at the 40-minute mark here, but I just want to tell one final story. So my brother, this has been probably now at least 10, maybe 15 years ago. He was at a firm before he went out on his own. And one of the partners, and this is a wealth management firm, one of the partners retired and sold his interest in the company. And my brother and he had become very good friends, and they would stay in touch, even though this partner, we'll call him Ted, name's been changed to protect the guilty. So Ted sold his interest in the business, and one day, probably it was probably about 4 or 5 years later, Ted now is 70 or 72. He goes to lunch with my brother, and he's not himself. And my brother said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Well, I'm not okay because I didn't plan for this." And my brother said, "Plan for what?" "Well, my wife is spending money like I'm still working. We're still running with the same people at the country club. She wants to take these trips to Europe with everybody else." And he was running. This is a wealth manager now who's running with the people who own businesses. He was running out of money. And he was having a hard time telling his wife, "We can't do that anymore," because he had surrendered his ability to create wealth.
Mm-hmm.
He had surrendered his ability to generate an income. His plan, his strategy for his clients was, let's do this right so you never have to work another day in your life. And so that's what he had done. But the people he's running with had done the opposite. Yes, they had their defense, but they kept their offense.
Right.
And so, you have a restaurant and a hamburger today is $3, and then it goes to 3.25, and then it goes to 3.50, and 15 years from now that hamburger is going to be $8. So that is keeping pace with inflation, where 15 years from now, if you're just depending on your defense, and that 30,000 a year, what it's going to buy you today is not what it's going to buy you in 15 years. So all of this, I mean, I wanted to do this broadcast tonight to give people something to think about before you start planning for retirement and the day you never have to work again. I quit working decades ago. I really did. I quit working decades ago because I just have fun at what I do, and I figure out how to take what I like to do and make a living off of it.
Yeah, exactly. You obviously still work, but we have fun at what we do, so it's different.
Right. And it depends on your definition of work.
Yeah, it depends on the definition of work. Okay, good. Well,
so Neil,
yeah,
your generation, you mentioned earlier, I don't know if you have any more data on this, but you said the millennials now are starting to become more savers than spenders.
I believe so. I could be totally wrong with that. I feel like I've read snippets here and there about that, but I really don't pay any attention to millennials because I'm ashamed to be considered one. But I do feel like I did read that millennials are more focused on investing in accounts and savings in the future and retirement and all that stuff. I think that's because we're being told nowadays by various places and institutions, etc., that we're not supposed to work and we're supposed to make all this income for a short amount of time, and then we're supposed to settle down and retire and backpack across Europe or whatever it is that you do, right? So I think that there's something, and if that's what people want to do, I'm cool with that, obviously. But true story. I don't remember where I was coming from. I was flying from somewhere back to Florida, and I don't remember where I was, but a guy gets on the plane. I think I was in Houston or something like that. And Houston is a huge intercontinental hub. And so I was in Houston, and this dude gets on the plane and sits next to me, and he's got this massive bag that fits in overhead that is clearly a big backpacking thing. He's got a big ass beard. You could tell he's been roughing it for a while, right?
Right.
And he sits down next to me, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, "What's up, man?" I'm like, "You look like you've been places." He was like, "Oh yeah, man." I was like, "Well, where you been?" And he tells me that he was just going home. Like I happened to sit next to this guy. He's just going home after being gone for 2 years.
Okay.
And he's like mid-20s, something-ish. I mean, he's not that much younger than me at the time.
Yeah.
Whatever. And I'm like, really? What did you do for 2 years? Oh, I went to this country and I went to this place. And I'm like, and all you have is that bag? He's like, yeah, man. And I'm like, so what did you do? You just worked and saved up some money and then just decided to go over the world? He's like, yeah, dude, it was rad. And I'm thinking to myself, hell no, could I do that? Right. But that's because to him, that is fun, right? So he's probably as alive living in the jungle, sleeping on his backpack in a foreign country as I'm alive in front of a group of 100 people talking business. It's just such a different reality factor. And most people, younger people, don't like to do that kind of stuff. But I think that type of a mentality has become prevalent in the millennials to where they want to save for those types of trips, those types of experiences, those types of things, So I do remember reading that. I kind of deviated there, but well, that's part of the fun at work process.
Yeah, and I just remembered this story. I talked to one of our dental clients, who's got a large practice in a rural area, and the husband and wife who own the practice work very, very hard, and sometimes, if necessary, they'll work 6 days a week if the patients need that type of care. There's that much demand in their area. Sometimes they work 5 days a week, but then, whenever they take a family vacation, they go to Deer Valley, and it's just all red carpet. It's first class. They fly first class. They have a great lifestyle. And the son just graduated from dental school last year, and the son is now integrated since August. Here we are in April, so it like 6-7 months ago. And the son is working very hard, and the practice is doing very well. And the son sat down with his mom and said, "Mom, I don't know that I want to work this hard." And she's like, "Well, okay, you don't have to." He goes, "I don't want to work as hard as you and Dad." She said, "You know what? That's not a problem. We can change your schedule." She said, and he's got 2 children, and his wife is pregnant with the third. She said, "You guys are talking about buying a house, right?" I says, yeah. She says, "Would you want an average house, or do you want a nice house?" He said, "No, I want a nice house." I said, "Okay. And, we have that boat, and you've said that you want a boat. Do you want a small boat, or do you want a large boat?" He says, "No, I want a large boat." And then she said, "The car you're driving right now, you said that you wanted, a Lexus like mine." And she paused, and he kind of looked at her, and he grinned and says, "I get it." So it's everybody gets to make their choice.
Yeah.
And so he has to make his choice. And there are some people that basically, like for me, I'll just tell you, for me, I semi-retired and cut back from 40 hours a week to 20. And with that extra time, what I did is I started another business to set up my other stream of income. Now, with that extra time, I could have taken private golf lessons. With that extra time, I could have bought a bigger airplane and learned how to fly a twin engine instead of my little single engine. And with my extra time, I didn't choose to do other things and not work. I chose to hone my skills, get better. And that's how I ended up being offered the partnership and the other company, et cetera, et cetera. So at any rate, everybody gets to make their choice.
Yeah.
But then don't think that you're going to have that kind of a lifestyle by not working. And then don't begrudge someone else who has worked and is taking the risk, and they have that lifestyle now. They earned it.
Yeah, exactly.
And everybody gets to make their choice. And this is not an indictment on any choice anybody makes. Tonight,
you can do whatever you want.
Do whatever you want. I just wanted to make it clear that there is offense that you have control of and you generate from your business, and there's defense. You take your profit from the business, use the profit first system, you make your money, you give it to a wealth manager, or you invest in real estate or whatever, and then you're going to have to decide based on whatever your objectives are, what you're comfortable with on your percentage of time in offense, your percentage of time and resources on defense. So
I think the big thing is that you can have as much defense as you want, but if you cut off the offense, that's when the risk sets in.
Yeah, you cut off your offense.
Yep.
That's not good.
Yep. Cool.
That's not good. So.
Okay, we have a comment really quick. I just want to pull up before we head out. Chris says, "Must be nice," said everyone who isn't willing to work as hard as someone else. Yes, exactly the point.
Yeah. Must be nice to drive that Corvette. Must be nice.
Yeah. Oh, I got to get back home. That TV show is starting. I wanted to watch.
Yeah. It is nice, but we work hard for it.
It is nice. Yeah, exactly. Okay, good. Well,
I hope this is interesting. I hope people make some comments. I hope this was engaging.
Yeah. We'll figure out what to title it on the live after it's done broadcasting, so for everybody else to pick it up. But I think financial strategies, offense versus defense, seems to be really what we ended up talking about. So we'll change that around.
Yeah.
For everybody else, if you are not part of Matterhorn's team or you would like to work with us, all you have to do is go to adventuretoprofit.com. There is an application form in there. You can give us some information about yourself. We'll see what we can do to help you and your business. We also have the YouTube membership program down below, where for $20, you get access to special live trainings that we are doing. The next one's going to be this Thursday, by the way. So be sure you are signed up and registered for that. Otherwise, we will see everybody next Monday night at 7 p.m. for our next live stream with Greg and Neil. And look out on the YouTube channel for 2 more videos this week. As usual, doing our 3 videos a week. We got the 2 recorded ones and then the 1 live stream. So be sure you hit those up as well on Wednesday and Friday. Otherwise, we will see everybody next Monday. You going to give them a thumbs up, Dad? I can't hit the end. Okay, there we go.
2.
2 thumbs ups.
1 for offense, 1 for defense.
Okay, good. Oh, God.